This is Uncle Thor here. I've been thinking of the Ing Rune, and I like to think of the runes from different angles and aspects. Now, one of the meanings of Ing, and I believe it's more Anglo-Saxon, I'm not sure, is a hearth fire. And in not very long ago, in fact, the hearth fire was the center of life in the evening at home. It was the warmest place in the house. It was the place of the fireplace. It was often in smaller homes, the cooking was done there. Many times it was the light by which people worked at night, working their crafts or fixing tools or whatever. And so the hearth fire had special significance. It was a center point. It was a gathering point. And just as Ing is a catalyst, so that same fire is a central point, not like the torch which is carried forth, a knowledge that spreads. This is in one place. The catalyst in one place. And we think of it as, look at another analogy, that in old times, except in the most severe weather, that people during the day went out of the house to work. Most of the people. The wife and maybe some of the daughters would work in the house. The elderly might work in the house, but everyone else went out of the house to work. And at the end of the day, they came in. And in a way, the analogy is like people who get their spiritual batteries charged, get their emotional and mental batteries charged, and then go out to the day to work, to go out and to be into the everyday world. And after spending time there, coming back in to rest and to recharge your spiritual batteries. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. I hear about people talking about monks and hermits and who take up spirituality to hide from life. And the problem is they're missing a lot of what's necessary. They're hiding from life. No. You retreat, recharge, and go back out, because the real working of any spiritual principle is how it works in the real world. That's the real test. This idea of spirituality separated from the physical world is a mistaken notion perpetuated from a religious ideal from 2,000 years ago that was mistaken even then. If anything is spiritual, it must be practical, and its proof has to bear out in the real world. If it has no results, if it has no effect, then how can we know it's real? If there is no way, there's got to be a way in which it works and a way in which it does its thing. But if we don't have that, how do we know it's real? It's just an idea, mind candy. And mind candy is nice for intellectuals sitting around with their thumbs up their asses, but it gets nothing done. So when we realize that this world is as spiritual as any other, we realize that our spiritual batteries that recharge, that spiritual energy, is something we can take into the everyday world and make a difference. Because it's not what you do when you're safe, it's what you do out there. It's just like, what's a saying that a very practical pastor had said one time. It's easy to be good in church. That doesn't count. What counts is when you're out there. Because people would harp to him about, well, it's Sunday. He said, no. Church is just the way you come to re-energize. What really counts isn't what you do in church, but what you do with it in the real world. And of course, I know some of our fellow heathens and pagans don't like to take any advice from Christianity, but hey, truth is where we find it, and no matter where we find it, we will use it, and this is true. It's easy to be good when you're around your spiritual buddies, or be it your kindred, or coven, or your meeting group, or whatever it is. It's easy to be good. It's easy to be wonderful. But it really counts is when you get out that door and you've got to work it. And Ing Rune symbolizes what we come to recharge our batteries. Remember, it's ignition, it's a catalyst. It's the thing that set things going. So, when we look at Ing, think of it as the regenerator, the recharge, that energy again, the energy that sparks, that sets off the fuse, gives us our spark to go and head back out into the everyday world and make a difference. There's many meanings to these runes, many facets of them, and they're all so multifaceted that even a lifetime you're barely scratching the surface. I've been working with these runes for decades, and there's still so much more to learn, so much more insight to come. So when we look at Ing, remember, there's many facets to it, much more to learn, and its facet in the Hearth rune is what gives us that charge to go out and succeed in life. Ponder these runes, meditate on this, and meditate on the other meanings too. This is Uncle Thor. Have a good one.